What's up, Trinidad? This is Kim with the Push It Trinidad podcast. I'm sitting here at the East Street School with Autumn Hunnicutt, and we're going to have a little chit chat about her artwork and what it's like being an artist in Trinidad. Hi, Autumn. How's your day going so far?
Hi Kim, it's been good. I've just been in the studio painting pretty much up until you got here, and yeah, I'm excited to talk.
Are you working on any specific work for upcoming shows?
Yeah, currently I have a piece in progress for a show in Durango called Southwest Remix, and it opens on November 7th, so getting down to the end of the deadline.
Awesome. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So first off, let's just have you do a quick introduction. Talk about who is Autumn, where you're from, how you got into art, and developed your unique style.
That's a big question.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I am originally from Raton, just south of Trinidad. And I grew up as the oldest sibling of four. We were kind of wild little kids running around in the country. Both my parents are pretty creative people, but neither of them pursued that as a career. And I was always just kind of drawing and painting and doing stuff, artistic stuff as a kid. And by the time I graduated high school, I didn't know what else to do besides pursue art classes in college. And so that's what I did for my first 2 years of undergrad. I went to New Mexico State, and I took a year off because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And everyone kept being like, "You're never going to make it as an artist. Like, it's just such a hard career choice," which it is. So I took a year off, and then I ended up finishing my BFA in Las Cruces in 2018, I think. And then I ended up getting my master's also in art. So I have an MFA from Washington State University, and I got that in 2022. And then I ended up back here in Trinidad.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just looking at some of your artwork, I'm wondering how much of an influence the landscape of New Mexico has been in your artwork.
Yeah, my work is heavily influenced by the Southwest, specifically New Mexico landscapes, and a little bit of California desert recently. We can maybe get into that later. But yeah, I feel like this Southwest thing really started when I left the Southwest and I moved to Washington. I'd always wanted to live in Washington, and then I got there and I really, really missed the New Mexico skies and just that like really expansive landscape. And so it started popping up in my work in grad school, and I've kind of just leaned into that.
Awesome. Yeah, Washington is a huge difference from New Mexico. It reminds me of the South a lot too. So what's it like being an artist in Trinidad?
So this question is kind of hard for me because I think people close to me know that I sometimes have pretty negative views about being here and trying to make it as an artist. But lately I've been trying to see the positive sides of it, because we're kind of in a unique spot where I can afford a studio space separate from my housing, and it's right on I-25, and a lot of our opportunities tend to be in the bigger cities, so Denver or Santa Fe, and it's easy to make it to either of those places in a couple hours. But I will say that it has been kind of difficult. There's not as much opportunity for networking with new people and people in those bigger art spaces. And so it takes a little more effort to branch out and network with people outside of Trinidad. You know, it does become a day trip to visit galleries or museums, or, I'm taking these paintings to Durango, so that's going to be a whole weekend thing. But at the same time, it's nice being close to home, and it's nice that it's affordable.
So, quick question. So when you get these shows, how does that work? Do you reach out to them, or how are they finding you?
So up until this year, I mostly applied to open calls. I use the website Cafe a lot to find calls for shows, and I've been pretty successful in getting accepted in juried exhibitions that way. But just this year, I have had several galleries reach out to me to be invited to exhibitions, and that's like totally new for me. It's really exciting because that means people are seeing my work outside of this area. And honestly, I haven't asked the Durango curator how she found me yet, but I am curious. And also, I have a show coming up in Fort Worth that I'm in, and that was just like a cold email from the curator. And I asked her, I was like, how did you guys find me? Because this is so random. I've never shown in Texas. And she just said they had a team of curators, and somebody found my work somehow. And I'm kind of thinking a lot of it may come from Instagram. I know for a fact that the gallery I'm currently being represented by in Breckenridge, they found me through Instagram, and then the owners started reading my newsletter, which is kind of
And
cool.
that's on Substack?
Yeah, on Substack. It's called Magpie House. And that was kind of funny because when he reached out to me, he pretty much was like, I love your newsletter, and your work. But it was kind of like, I don't know, it was funny because my newsletter can be really honest and really blunt. And so it made me feel good that this guy was still wanted to work with me after reading my honest thoughts and words.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you are honest that maybe it cuts you out of some opportunities? I do kind of feel like we're on an honest truth trend where people are appreciating honesty a little bit more. How do you think that fits into the artist world?
I think it's our job as artists to be honest. And that can be really hard, especially as an emerging artist, because we don't want to step on anybody's toes, and we don't want to start or offend anybody, because it might suffocate these opportunities that they could have given us. But I've just, especially in the last year, just realized what's the point of being quiet about things that are wrong or bother me. And it just feels like not my, I don't know, it just feels like it's not my truth to shove all that down. And yes, there's a time and a place for, speaking my truth. And that's kind of why I started the newsletter. It's just really open and honest thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I think when there are people that are honest, people can relate to that, and maybe it will help them be a little bit braver to express their experiences, because we're all going through something. So for your newsletter, which is on Substack, I really do love how you write. You have such a flow that it's just natural, and hopefully one day you'll write a book, but we'll see.
I've actually thought about that.
So how does Substack fit into your daily life? Are you when you're creating, thinking about, this would be a great topic for an article?
Yeah, I started my newsletter about a year ago, and it's because I was really missing that structure of grad school where we had to write a lot about our work. And when I was doing that in school, I often found that I was understanding my own work better when I was writing about it. And just also having new ideas and just kind of understanding myself better too. So I started this newsletter to just kind of be a broad sort of topic, and mostly it is mostly about art, but my art is inherently me. It's a lot of my own experiences, my family, and so because of that, my newsletter then kind of branches off into all these little side stories of just experiences I've had in life, and it's been pretty cathartic. I kind of fell off the wagon from it this summer. Really, it was a really chaotic summer, and so I am getting back into it now.
That's awesome. I had a thought and it just left, but basically you inspired me to start a Substack. And originally it was going to be just writing. And I think when you write about your experiences, because we get to know people through social media or whatever quicker, I think, than in person nowadays, it helps bring some like real human aspects back to who you are. And then Substack is great because you can do a podcast through it.
Yeah.
So it's been awesome reading your stories for sure. So I know that you do have some art around town. Can you tell us where your art is located, how we can purchase it, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, currently I have, let's see. I don't think I have any originals hanging in town right now. There is actually a really old painting hanging in the well. It's pretty large. Yeah. It's a giant eyeball I painted in undergrad. And yeah, if anybody wants to buy that, just ask Jason. I'm sure he would sell it to you. But besides that, I mostly just have prints in town right now. I have all of the print editions are available at Mutiny. And besides that, I do have a shop on my website that has a local pickup option. So if you are in town and you want to just like do that instead of popping into Mutiny or like talking to me in person, which is fine, you can do that. So and my website's just autumnhunnicuttart.com.
Perfect. And then you've mentioned a few shows coming up, and I'm really excited about the Durango one. I've never been there, but I've heard it's beautiful. Maybe talk about some of the shows you have ongoing right now and how those are you getting a lot of good feedback from people making sales, and then any upcoming shows that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, so like I said, this year's been kind of wild with people reaching out to me. It's not a ton, but it's more than I'm used to. And I'm currently being represented by 2 galleries, which is a totally new thing for me. And there's the one in Breckenridge. It's called Raitman Art Galleries, and they have 2 locations in Breckenridge and 1 in Vail. So there are currently 4 paintings available through that gallery, and the feedback's been really good from them. Actually, my first sale was to one of the consultants that works for them.
Congrats.
So that was cool. And I'm being commissioned through that gallery for another piece currently. And then the second gallery that took me on is Keep Contemporary in Santa Fe. And the owner, Jared, reached out to me on Instagram, which was really cool. So they have 3 of my paintings currently, including the rattlesnake, which I think was a lot of people's favorite.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's feels very Santa Fe. So that one's going good as well. They've only had those paintings for about a month. And then shows, there's the one in Durango, the Southwest Remix. I think there's about 8 people in that show. It'll be pretty cool to meet some new artists through that. And then I have the show in Fort Worth coming up in January. That one's called Grit and Grace. And I'm really excited about this one because I've been doing a lot of research with my genealogy, and a lot of my dad's side of the family was in Fort Worth and Dallas area. And I want to work with old archival photographs I have of those family members and kind of put them into these new paintings. So I'm really excited to start those. Yeah, I think that's the scope of my shows right now.
Awesome. Is that the synchronicity coming back?
It is.
Shoot, what was I going to ask? Oh, what does it mean when a gallery represents you? How does that work?
Yeah, so gallery representation is basically like a partnership. We have a contract and they take on work from me, and it's just kind of like an ongoing show. It's not like, a month-long show or exhibition. And so they work hard to push out new work. They contact their clients, they advertise for you. They're constantly trying to push out your work, and in return, they receive a percentage of the sale. And it's just, I don't know, honestly. I think it's just supposedly a good look to be represented by people, or a gallery. So yeah, I'm new to this, and I hope it works out.
Well, I think it's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was lurking on your Instagram last night, and I know that we kind of know each other through just being around town in the Artist Way group and that sort of thing. But going through your Instagram, I was like, wow, she's really been a lot of places, and you're definitely, I feel like, an explorer. Like, that's part of your spirit. Yeah. And it was last year you went on the PCT, right? The Pacific Coast Trail?
Crest Trail, yeah.
Okay, do you want to talk about that a little bit? I know I've heard some very interesting stories, and I know you've incorporated some of that into your work. So why don't you tell our listeners?
Okay. Yeah, so last year, it had been building up for a couple years. I decided to attempt to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, which is 2,650 miles from Mexico to Canada. I did not make it that far. I wasn't really expecting to be honest. It was my first time backpacking ever. So it was a little ambitious.
Just jump right into it.
Yeah, I was like, Cheryl Strayed did it. It's fine.
Yeah.
She also didn't hike the whole thing though, so whatever. I planned and prepped for almost 2 years. Saved up quite a bit of money so I could, if I did finish the whole thing, I would be out there for about 6 months. So
right.
I had to think of all of my bills back home. I left last, April 2024, and it was insane, honestly. I was like so scared, but I just felt like I had to do it. And I just remember getting down. I flew to San Diego and took a shuttle to the Mexican border with some other hikers. And it was like, I can't even explain how that felt. It was just like, I had been like so scared to leave. And then as soon as I got there, I was like, okay, this is fine.
This is real.
Yeah. And so I just started walking, and it was pretty insane. I mean, the first night on trail, I had a couple people around me camping next to me, and then literally day 2, I was alone. And so I just remember getting up in the morning after that first night alone, and I was like, hell yeah, like I just slept alone in the wilderness by myself.
Yeah.
Like for the first time. I was like, maybe I should have done this before I was out here. But the thing about the PCT is there's so many people that leave around the same time. The window for leaving at the Mexican border is only about 3 months. And so there's tons of people all starting at the same time. And of course, people fizzle off as the further you go. But I never thought I'd be that alone. But it was kind of, that first week was pretty isolated, which I wasn't quite expecting. And at the end of the first week, I had a mountain lion encounter. Well, several mountain lions. I think it was a mom and a bunch of babies, and it scared the shit out of me.
I bet.
Yeah, so I got my trail name from that experience, and people started calling me Cougar on trail. And then, of course, I had to explain that every time I introduced myself as Cougar because people are like, "You're not old enough."
You're right.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And I made some really good friends out there, and it was weird. I kind of ended up in a group of women, all from Colorado. All of us
That's
were
crazy.
from, it was a mom and daughter from Denver and another woman from Boulder. And we kind of just latched onto each other after the mountain lion thing. And I stayed with Susan, the woman from Boulder. I stayed with her for about a month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. And at one point I got really, really sick on trail. I had to take about 5 days off. And so I ended up losing my group of people I was hiking with. And so after that, things got a lot harder mentally. I was already kind of like, what the frick am I doing out here? And so after I got sick, it was I was just kind of over it. And I didn't want to be over it, and I didn't want to go home because everybody knew that what I was doing, and it was like this shame. I felt so much shame about wanting to quit because I had worked so hard to even get there. I hiked this like infamous section called the LA Aqueduct, and if you see pictures of the PCT, there's probably one of those, and it's really trippy because it's just the desert for as far as you can see, and then this giant pipe in the ground that people walk on top of, and it's all of LA's water is in this pipe.
That's crazy.
And there's no water sources for like 19 miles. So you're like walking.
You're walking over, but you can't access
water,
it.
but you can't get it. And that section's also like notoriously really hot, so people will hike it in the middle of the night. And the night before I started that section, I was completely alone at this weird little spot called Hiker Town, and there was like trail families of like 30 plus people coming through, like putting on glow in the dark face paint and eating mushrooms and like getting ready to go have this like wild desert hike. And I was like completely alone. I never felt more alone than then, and I was around the most hikers I think I'd ever
that's
seen.
crazy.
It was weird. So I had like a total meltdown. I was like, this is not fun anymore. And right as I was like trying to make my plan for what time I was going to leave, I was planning on leaving at like 2 a.m. I met this girl. She was going by Specs, and and she was like, "I'm actually alone too." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so me and her got up at 2 a.m. and hiked about. I want to say we hiked like 10 miles before the sun even came up, which was really wild. And I ended up staying with her for the next couple days, leaving to hike at about 2 a.m. every night. And we were hiking through these wind turbine fields near Tehachapi, and it was like kind of horrifying. Like we were camped pretty close under these wind turbines, and it was like wild.
Wow. Yeah.
And the wind was so miserable. Yeah, my last day on trail was in this section, and the wind was so bad that at a couple points I had to get on my hands and knees on the trail because I was going to.
Oh my God.
I was like on the ridge of a mountain, and it was so friggin' bad that I thought I was gonna get blown off the edge. And, I mean, it's weird to be suffocated by air.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely felt like I was being suffocated, and I knew if I didn't get off into Tehachapi, I was going to be screwed because after Tehachapi, there was like 100 miles of kind of nothing. So I made the choice then to just get a bus to Las Vegas, and my best friend was living there, and I was like, all right. It was horrible, but I really miss it. Yeah.
Do you think you'll go back? Just in case. Okay. That sounds intense. Do you think you'll go back out and try it again or do part of it?
Yeah, I've been like, it's, I guess, that type 2 fun where at the time I was like, why did I spend all this money to torture myself? But man, I have been craving it ever since I've been home. And I am thinking I want to try again. A lot of people will start where they left off and do these long sections. They call them long ass section hikes. But there's like something just so like stubborn about me that I feel like I need to try the whole thing over from the start. So I don't know. We'll see. I probably need at least another year before I give it a go. Gotta save my money again.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the experience. I'm just trying to visually imagine being in that situation overall. And yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you should go on some like short
I know.
backpacking trips. Yeah, well, Antonina, she loves to
Yeah.
backpack out into the wilderness. But well, so do you have any other adventures that will be coming up soon? Any planned trips to places outside of Trinidad?
Anything outside of Trinidad.
It is an adventure.
No, I don't have anything like that insane planned. I think my birthday's coming up at the end of October, and
Oh, nice.
it's about it aligns with the time that Durango needs my paintings. So I think that I'm gonna take my paintings down to Durango and then maybe go to Moab for a few days.
Yeah.
I've only ever been to Arches when it was like extremely hot out. So might do that. And I do plan on going to Fort Worth for the opening, but besides the art related trips, I don't have anything planned right now.
Cool. Durango is kind of in a gnarly part of the state too.
Yeah.
Wonder what the weather will be like when you head over there.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that because I drive a Corolla, but but my boyfriend Jared's got 4-wheel drive, so he might be driving. Yeah. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, I know some people over there, so I'll make sure that they are alerted about the upcoming show. So I'm looking at some of this artwork you have around your studio right now. What are these for your future shows? Are those are magpies, and I see the New Mexico. It looks like when you come over the pass, that's kind of the landscape that you see. It looks like a photograph almost. It's insane. Are these for your upcoming show?
Yeah, this one is for the Durango show, the Southwest remix. The landscape's actually of the Taos Gorge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
it
just
does. It
noticing
does
the
look
gorge
very.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I can totally see the over the pass.
Yeah.
Landscape though also, and yeah, it's a magpie, which those things are everywhere in Taos. I mean, I get them right here outside my studio too, but in Taos, I just feel like they're all over. Yeah.
I actually saw a magpie out at the wormhole, and I was like, it made me think of you now. But I don't see them around too often, and I know you have a connection with magpies. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, since they appear in your artwork quite often?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is going to sound really woo-woo, but yeah, my grandma, my dad's side, she raised a magpie, I think for like 30 years, I think this thing lived.
Oh, wow.
It was before I was born, and somebody gave her one that supposedly fell out of a nest, and she raised it, and his name was Hootie Doody, which is now what my little cat's name is.
Aww.
My dad named the cat after his bird because the cat is also black and white.
Nice.
I know. But yeah, I feel like kind of in my early 20s, I started paying more attention to the birds, and it seemed like a lot of the times when I was going through something tough or I was leaving for a trip or something, there was always a magpie that flew over, and I kind of just started associating them with my grandma. So I like to think of my grandma's giving me a visit when I see one. which is kind of comforting and maybe like a little creepy. Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. It gets really in depth because I also found this weird connection through a crazy dream I had in grad school that prompted me to wake up and research some of my other grandma's genealogy, and we're not entirely sure where in the Eastern Europe she came from. It seems like my mom, I think, always said like she was Slovakian and Austrian potentially, and maybe Polish. And when I had this weird dream and I was looking all this up, I also decided to look up the origin of her maiden name, which was Schrock. And I don't know if any of this is actually true, but in my head, it connects. Well, Schrock looks like it was a name shortened from Sroka. And Sroka means magpie in Polish.
Yeah. I do remember reading that in your Substack. Yeah.
That shit blew my mind. I was like
That's
panicked
crazy.
for like a whole day, being like, this
bet.
can't be real.
Yeah.
I called my mom. I was in grad school at the time, and I was just like on one about it. And she was like, "Okay, sure." I'm like, "No, I swear."
Yeah.
So I don't know, magpies.
That's awesome. I love them. I remember when I moved to Colorado, I kept hearing these birds that sounded like they were laughing at me, and I was like, that looks like a tropical bird. What is that bird doing here? But then I realized it's a state bird, and they're everywhere up there. But cool. Well, what's in the future for Autumn? What's your dream gallery to show in?
Oh. Wow. I don't know if I have a specific gallery, but I would love to have a show, in the big art cities. Like a show in LA would be sick, or even New York. I feel like my work might fit the LA art scene a little bit better than the New York. That's a giant dream, but I mean, I would be happy with just more shows. Another solo show opportunity in a larger city would be really awesome. As for other future stuff, I've been applying to teaching positions here and there. I wouldn't mind teaching college painting and drawing again. I really enjoy that. But for right now, I'm planning on just hunkering down and making a bunch of stuff, and hopefully more people will contact me and be like, be in my show.
Yeah, it seems like that happens with artists that have been creating for a long time, and then bam, all of a sudden, like they're getting called here. So hopefully LA will work out.
Yeah,
LA, if you're listening.
Yeah, right.
Autumn wants
Give me a show.
Yeah. So going back to Trinidad, do you feel like, I was thinking about this when we were talking about it earlier. I know Trinidad wants to identify as an artist. I don't know, how would you describe that? They want to be known as like an artist haven kind of, but I do struggle with seeing Trinidad like that, and I'm not sure why. What's holding it back? Do you, as an artist, you probably have some insight.
That is like kind of a hard question, because I feel like they are trying to make it become like this artist haven. But I just feel like I don't know what exactly we're lacking besides, funding for artists is a big thing. I've looked for local grants and stuff for projects, and there aren't really any available for just individual artists and their projects. I shouldn't say a lot. There's several for organizations kind of doing stuff in the arts, but I think funding is a big one. And I got lucky with this studio space that is I'm renting from Redline Contemporary, and they're based in Denver, so that's not even really a local project. I don't know. I think we have several galleries, and I don't know if more galleries is the answer, or maybe more arts education programs, helping expand the college arts program, because I know Eiley works her ass off over there. But I feel like, with the new creator space at the Fruitville Library, I feel like that could really ramp up like art making.
What is that? I haven't heard about
Oh
that.
yeah, so in the second level of the library at the college,
Oh, the makerspace. Yeah.
What did
Okay.
I call it?
I was for some reason thinking the Trinidad Library.
Oh yeah. The makerspace in the library at the college has got all kinds of like new equipment and stuff for making all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't even know exactly what's in there. I know there's a lot of cool technology that like I had access to in grad school that I probably should have taken more advantage of, but it's like it's nice to know there's stuff like that here, because that's one thing I miss about being in school is you have access to all these tools you wouldn't normally, and I believe it's open to the public to use. So I don't know, maybe just a little more arts education. I think bringing in other outside artists and contemporary work and kind of sort of, I don't want to say educating because that sounds like kind of condescending, but just bringing in new contemporary work from outside. I feel like it's important to get like a real scope of work being made right now. And if we just keep recycling the same stuff here, people don't grow.
Yeah.
A lot of my work and just, people I know work who tend to like kind of get out of their own box is because they're exposed to other art. And I think, visiting the Denver Art Museum or any galleries you can when you're not in town, it kind of can make you realize what else is being done.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes Trinidad can be really closed off to the outside world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know from personal experience that when you're in Trinidad, you get super comfy here.
Yeah.
And you just, I don't know, it's not really become lazy, just really comfortable. And I feel like more people need to get out regularly, including myself. So I think that, yeah, maybe there need to be field trips to Santa Fe or where's like the hot spot for contemporary art right now?
I would say Denver's doing a lot for contemporary art. I know I talked about Redline a minute ago, but they have a gallery space in Denver, and it's like pretty amazing. They have this artist residency program that's designed sort of to be like a school program where like it's an open door policy. So they have this really cool contemporary gallery in the center, and then they have artists in their studios all around the gallery, and their doors are open, and so you can go and check out the gallery, but you can also peek in to the studios and see what these artists are working on.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I think Santa Fe also has like a little bit of the contemporary world, like specifically Keep Contemporary, the gallery I'm in. He's doing a lot of work bringing in newer artists, emerging artists, things that are not your typical Santa Fe stuff. Like, I love Santa Fe, but it does get quite repetitive sometimes. It's a lot of just Western traditional landscape art, which is fine. I love that kind of work, but it does get old after a while.
Yeah, I could see that. Does Redline, I feel like what would be really cool, since you're renting a space, if they had some kind of like way to promote the artists that are renting space from them. Do they offer anything like that?
Sorry, could you ask me that?
So you're renting space through Redline. Do they like promote people that are renting from them? Like, do they have a program where, oh, we've got this artist that's renting from us? Like, because honestly, it's like a full circle.
Yeah.
You could pay your bills a little bit easier if they're promoting you.
I haven't seen too much of like promoting artists here, and currently I'm one of two in the shared studio space. But this is I could mention about things I'm doing. It's also connected to Redline. They did provide me with an opportunity to help them with a new program they're starting here in Trinidad, and they received a grant to help open artist studio space, or how do I explain this? Open studio space in the building for people experiencing homelessness or in recovery, or just people that don't have the means to just buy art supplies and have a place to make stuff. And we just had our third one this Sunday, and basically we're running into some snags with getting people to East Street School, because a lot of our houseless population is located downtown, and people aren't gonna just want to walk up here to make some stuff for a couple hours.
Right.
So we did rent a van this week, and that worked a little bit. We got some people interested that came and hung out with us and made some art. I am making a little money through that. So it's kind of like a side gig in a way that Redline's provided, just because I'm one of their only artists in this space. And yeah, I think it's going to be a cool program if we can figure out the kind of small town issues with it,
Yeah.
They've been running a very similar program in Denver for about 5 years, it sounds like. And it's really taken off. They have, I believe, open studio 5 days a week for people, and they've created partnerships with the Rocky Mountain School of Art and Design and like some other really big companies. So I think they're hoping we can
get together,
something going down here, but there's different roadblocks than in the city.
Yeah, so if somebody was interested in helping out with that and volunteering, or maybe even providing transportation, who would they get in touch with for that?
Yeah, you can, we are kind of on a hold right now for taking on like new facilitators and stuff. But if you are interested in volunteering at some point, you could probably just reach out to me. It would probably be the easiest contact. And I can get you in touch with our person in charge, Louise. And she's a very busy lady, so it'd probably be better to reach out to me first. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that sounds amazing. I love that you're part of that. I do know that people do need inspiration in their lives, especially when they're experiencing houselessness. Do you have any final things you want to talk about, or ideas, or anything with Autumn?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm really thankful that you asked me to come on the podcast. It's very exciting. Yeah, I don't have too many final thoughts, but I think that, everyone is going through something right now, and I just feel like we need to be nice to each other.
For sure.
That's kind of my thought on that, Yeah, make some art, and I don't know.
Buy art.
Buy some art. Hit up Mutiny for some art. And just try to support the local economy and your local artists, because we are struggling.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I have a few of your pieces and some prints, and I don't have enough, actually. No. But all right. Well, I thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. This has been a fun conversation and very informative. And so be sure to check out Autumn's work when you can. I'll make sure to list those dates and the locations in the Substack article. And the podcast will be available on Substack is the landing page, and then it's also on Spotify and Apple and 20 other podcast hosts. So, all right. Well, thanks again, Autumn, and good luck with your upcoming shows. As always, I love to see it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim.
And thanks to the listeners, and keep it trill.